What up, y'all? I am your host, Vegas, and this is That Time in Hip Hop, a podcast about the nostalgia, history, but more importantly, the preservation of hip hop music and culture. With me, as always, is the homie Tony from Into the Dome podcast. What's good, brother?
Everything good. Now look, this is a red cup, but it's not like what you think. This is kombucha here tonight.
Yeah, I'm drinking ginger ale, or as used to say in the hood, ginger ale.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing. Put it all together.
Cure anything.
Right. If you're returning to this channel, to this podcast, we appreciate you. We have about 78 episodes of this very show that's been going on for years right here on YouTube, talking about various topics, all pertaining to hip hop, from record labels to albums to moments like the Source Awards in 1995 to years like 1993, 1996. Even episodes like, did the Source magazine create the mystique behind Illmatic? We broke down all kinds of episodes, conversations that come up all the time on social media where it's like, 5 years ago, me and Tone was already on that. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So this is what we do here. So we appreciate you coming through. If you love the content, obviously subscribe, like the content, comment. We do read the comments. We will respond to you unless you want some other shit, whatever. Might respond to you anyway, But one of the things we like to do to start off the podcast is just kind of look at what's going on in hip hop history. And October 22nd, 2012, Kendrick Lamar released his major label debut, Good Kid, Mad City. Tone, I'm pretty sure you were up on K. Dot way before that, you know what I'm saying, when he was K. Dot to most people. But when he finally got the chance to release, like, the album, you know what I'm saying, like, probably the culmination of what he'd been working towards up to that point. What were your thoughts on the project?
Okay, so look, leading up to it, like I knew it was coming out in a couple of weeks. I was already playing Section 80 hard, you know what I'm saying, the kind of indie debut album. And after hearing Cushion Corinthians, I have an article about breaking the song down on TonyTheDome.com, man. And hearing that, the Reagan era, you know what I'm saying, High Power, you know what I'm saying, produced by J. Cole, and just so many amazing songs on Section 80. And now, of course, years and years later, you can see pictures and video of Andre 3000 in there with him, Dr. Dre in there with him, you know what I'm saying, a bunch, Pharrell, everybody like that. And, it was just kind of start of seeing something special. So hearing about Good Kid, Mad City, I think I heard maybe Swimming Pool, because it's like one of them singles or whatever. I don't remember the very first single off the top of my head, but that I heard. So I could have heard on the mixtape or anywhere. I'm always fishing, but I was like, okay, he's back. Just kind of ready to hear the album. You never know when you're going, before you put out what it's going to be. Especially with expectations real high. Put that joint in, man, and I'll say this: get to the end of that album. After you sit there, you be like, you know what? I literally just heard something special. So now I thought that by the time I got to Sing About Me, I was like, that song is like 8-9 minutes long, man, and just the way he told that story was amazing. You know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, hearing that, I knew he was special, but really, when that Black Boy Fly, I was like, wow, I think we might have the next West Coast classic album. That's kind of what I was thinking. And it didn't take me like 10 rides, you know what I'm saying, to get to that conclusion, man. I thought I listened to it. I was getting a little bit more knowledge, but I was kind of like, I think this is the one. I think this might be the album of the generation. And when I started talking about it at that time, some people thought I was just, it's funny now because some people think I'm just a new Kendrick Lamar fan, when you can go back and I've been talking about K. Dot since Vanity Slave, like I said, so whatever. But yeah, man, I knew it was something special, babe. I mean, I felt like it was the one.
Yeah, and just for those like who don't know, and we just mentioned, Kendrick Lamar was one of our first episodes. We talked about the control verse and
Yep.
what that did in hip hop. But I'm like you, man. I was on like I didn't catch K Dot's mixtapes until I heard Section 80. Because when I heard Section 80, I was like, wow, this is incredible. This is
Mhm.
like an album. You know what I'm saying? And he's young, but he's talking some real deep shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it just came together like the albums we knew from the 90s. So when he had his major debut on the horizon, and I heard when I first heard Swimming Pools, I was thinking like, are they trying to like do the we give y'all the street shit on the mixtape side, but when it comes to the album, we're gonna just give you jams for the radio. But the more I heard it, the more I was like, well, nah, I mess with it anyway. And like you
Yeah.
said, once I heard the album, I was you said it right. Like when oh, this is special. This ain't just, oh, this is a dope album. No, this is something different.
Right.
And I agree. Like I felt like at the time, this is when I was like uh doing the early gym tests when I would listen to new albums, and I just remember like it kind of had me in the zone because I was so focused on everything that was happening. I was just able to work out and not think about it. Um, but yeah, man, crazy album,
And,
classic.
the concept is basically a one long. It's like it's a
It's
story.
a story,
You know what I'm saying? It's a
right?
concept type album. So I mean, he I like the way the little skits or the little times within the album where his parents on the phone with him, and
Yeah,
mom talking about getting something from the store, make sure you put some gas in my car. You know what I'm saying?
right,
Stuff like that, and we can all relate to that. Being like young teenagers, like your parents. If you're lucky enough for your parents to let you drive before you get your car, you better not bring that thing back on E. You know what I'm
right,
saying? Real talk.
right. And there was
Special.
I guess the thing with that album for those who don't know, who are wrapped up in social media battles and the Drake and blah 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 and all that shit. Um, what was dope about this album, like you said, as a concept, typically most rappers' first album is like their biography. That's how it's supposed to be. Like you
Yep.
just letting the world know who you are, what you're about, your peoples, your block, just everything. And Kendrick kind of took that concept and really dug into it. So it's like it feels West Coast, but it feels inspired by East Coast, and it feels inspired by the 90s, but everything is not like old school sounding or anything like that. It was just everything. And then the skits, like you said, like we all know if you grew up in the 90s, boy, you press play, you getting some skits, like
Yeah.
from most albums.
Yep.
But it was all meaningful and it all played into the whole neighborhood vibe of the album. So yeah, man,
Yeah.
classic album. Y'all should definitely go back and listen. We know there's been new joints and stuff like that, and especially if you were somebody who was introduced to K Dot through the battle, and maybe you love GNX, you should definitely go back in the catalog. You know what I'm saying, to check out Good Kid, Mad City. But what we're here to talk about today, um, ironically, the first album was also released in October, but it's a guy who I think
Yep.
at the time, we all had different opinions about, but there were some fans who were like, nah. But when you look in retrospect, it's he definitely left a big impression on the game. So Tone, tell the people where we talked about.
Man, I'm glad to have this conversation, but it's also bittersweet because the brother is no longer with us, of course, passing several years ago, man. But when we think about when an MC had a moment and then they maybe disappear for a while and then come back years later and stuff like that. Sometimes we be like, we don't know how it's gonna be. We don't know if the rhyme is gonna still be the same or did the break hurt them like how it did Shine, for example. No disrespect, he even admitted that. Or would it help? You know what I'm saying? Like there's people who came out of jail. I mean, Tupac, a little bit of time came out after Millions World made All Eyes on Me. You know what I'm saying? But in this case today, the person who had the biggest, man, just change, and it's just a new MC, a new artist. Man, the biggest transition I've ever seen probably in the history of hip hop. 90s group, KMD, guy named Zev Love, man. Personal tragedy that we'll get into. Disappears, comes back at the height, where the beginning of what's going to be a raucous movement, underground resurgence, all of that. Zev Love turns into MF Doom, all cap letters too now, and changes the whole world, man. What's some of your initial thoughts, babe?
Well, around the time when, starting at the beginning with Zev Love X, like, I remember hearing him on a Gas Face with Third Base, and I was like, I like that dude. It's similar to some of us who saw Tupac first with Digital Underground.
Yeah.
And was like, yo, I like that dude. You know what I'm saying?
Song.
Same song. So I felt that way about Zev Love X. I thought he was cool. He had a nice flow. He had a decent voice to go with it.
Yeah, true. Kind of the Kwame era, all that.
Yeah. He kind of fit the era. You know what I'm saying?
Fit the era.
At the time, and same thing with KMD songs, it was kind of fun.
Peach Fuzz?
Like Peach Fuzz. Like, it's crazy you make a whole song about having a little bit of facial hair.
And it had a nice vibe to it. It had a native tongue feel to it. Mr. Hood being the debut album that came out like 91. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, man. That was they fit that moment in time.
They definitely did, and I remember feeling like anxious to, because if you like somebody, you want to hear more music from them, and feeling anxious about that. But like, we're going to get into everything that happened, and when MF Doom came around, I did not know that was Zev Love X. I was just like, who's this dude? You know what I'm saying?
Look, no, you know what? I haven't spoken to anyone yet who said they knew in like 98, 99-ish when he came back on the scene and he dropped that debut album that we're going to talk about. Nobody knew that was Zev Love X from KMD. A lot of us didn't even know back then that Zev was from the UK. You know what I'm saying? I know they end up living in, I think they end up living in like Long Island or somewhere or whatever, but he's from the UK, him and his brother.
Mm-hmm.
Rest in peace to him.
That's what's crazy about it, right? Like, it's almost as if we learn more about him and the group as tragedy struck, right? His brother DJ Subroc passed away, unfortunately.
And that's when he disappeared.
That's when he disappeared. Also, their album, their sophomore album, Black Bastards, getting shelved, mainly because of the cover was like a Sambo, which was a part of their image anyway, like, and not in a embracing Sambo, kind of like mocking it in a lot of ways, but it was the Sambo hanging on the cover of the second album, and I remember it got shelved. And I'm not gonna lie to you, Tone, like, this back during the Source days, I'm thinking like, what's gonna happen to Zev Love X? Like, obviously he took his brother's death pretty hard, and now
they say it's come a long time to really to deal with that and cope with that and stuff. And that's when he totally, but it again, let me say this too. And blessings to that situation, but back then, if you didn't become a big group or artist, a lot of people came out with one or two good songs, even a decent first album, a great first album, and you never heard from him again. So KMD disappearing, even if his brother, obviously we wish the brothers were both still with us, but if nothing happened, they might have not made it because it was so hard to make it during that time. And unfortunately, even though Mr. Hood was good, it's not people instinctive travels. It wasn't, wasn't Yo Bum Rush the Show and Pay the Fool. So, it wasn't nothing that's going to make the second album would have had to come right back, 2-3 years later to keep some momentum. You turn into, one of those 90s groups, 80s groups that disappeared, or early 2000s group that disappeared, man. But him coming back as MF Doom, and I don't know where you want to go at it, but when Operation Doomsday dropped, it came at the middle of the same time when you're getting the Black Star album, Pharoah Monch, it's
Yep.
Turn of Fair situation, Black on Both Sides, Train of Thought, this whole era, like 98 when Black Star hit off to like 2005, 6, and beyond, because the underground and the resurgence of that style and flavor of hip hop, came back, Lyricist Lounge, all that stuff too. So,
Right.
he came during a time where you had to be good during that time too, because you had these heavyweight underground cats who really were good. You know what I'm saying? Black
Mhm.
Star really was good. Pharoah Monch really was good. Eminem at that time really was good. He had to join Indie Man on sound bombing too. Just in case somebody tried to fact check me, he was part of all of that. Common, Sadat X, all these guys was doing a lot of stuff at the time, and when MF Doom came, man, with the look, with the metal face, we'll get in all of that. And it's like, first of all, nobody was that animated, looked like a character from the So I don't know, man. It just me first seeing him and hearing Operation Doomsday, I didn't know what to think, because I was like, he had his style, unorthodox flow and rhyming and stuff. We're gonna talk about some people who really loved him as well as the MC. Some great MCs really loved MF Doom. But he was so different, man. But them beats, because we also got to say this too. The brother wasn't just an MC, because he was an MC. He was a dope producer and inspired some other producers like Madlib. We'll talk about that in a few. You know what I'm saying? So MF Doom made beats, man, and beats, rhymes, and life for real, man. But what was your thinking, man, when you heard some Operation Doomsday, bro?
I'm not even gonna lie, man. Around the time that I would see images of that album, I didn't know what it was. And around the time, and it probably wasn't 98 because I wasn't on the radio. It might have been even later. And he probably had a couple of projects, but
it was later.
It was later. Yeah, I was doing Strictly Hip Hop in Baltimore. I had just started. And I remember like, dudes, play, y'all need to play MF Doom. Y'all need to play MF Doom. And at first I was like, man, shut the fuck up. Who are you? Tell me what to play.
Right.
But then, I would see it. I remember like we would do this thing, the show was Fridays from midnight to 5 a.m. But during the day or during the week, we'd come by and listen to music and decide, what we're going to play. And I was like, oh, here go that album. Just sitting in the bin. And I remember playing it and I was like, what the fuck is he talking about? Like, who is, because it was so, like, don't get me wrong. Like, at first when I heard the beat with the Sade sample, I was like, I might have to play this. Like, you know what I'm saying? And then when he started rhyming, I was like, what is this?
It was bugged up. You first heard it, wasn't it?
Yeah. And then also it didn't help that dudes who didn't understand that when you're playing music for the radio, you're playing for everybody and not just one sector of fans versus another. So they always wanted something that not many people were talking about. But I just remember listening like, I don't know if I could get into this. And I think when I got interested is when somebody told me, like one of the interns was like, yo, that's Zev Love X from KMD. And then when I went back and listened, I was like, that is him. Because it's her voice.
Yep.
Then I kind of opened up a little bit to the rhyme patterns. And even though I came to like him even more later, that was my initial thoughts. It was more so like, am I playing this for radio? Do I like it personally? Oh shit, is Zev Love X? Wait a minute, he made the beats? Like,
you know what?
It kind of was that.
Because he's one of those, he's so unique, you know what I'm saying? So he's going to be acquired taste, for one.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's, and that's not a bad thing, because what he became, we'll get all in, is as underground legend. Probably one of the biggest legends in underground hip hop. It's crazy because, I remember him passing. My wife don't listen to underground hip hop like that. And she's listening to Jeezy and T.I. and all that. But when I said, man, Emma, no, she came downstairs. I was looking at something. She's like, I just saw something like some guy named the MF Doom, because you're a hip hop head, Tony. Man, that's my wife saying. Right. Like, the guy, the MF Doom with the thing on his face, he died. Huh? You know what I'm saying? Like, and I was like, man, you know what I'm saying? Like, of course, that's part of the hip hop family. So, if you feel the pain for they loved ones and stuff like that, then that's two brothers going pretty young. One was very young. Obviously did MF for 49. But going back to initially hearing that Operations Doomsday, one thing that he did that I was waiting for someone to do or more people to do is to take a Sade sample. You know what I'm saying? Like, he used Sade for the Doomsday song. You know what I'm saying? And it was just dope to hear that. And obviously, when he started rhyming, it's almost like he was on beat but off beat. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's hard to explain MF Doom's style. You know what I'm saying? But he actually influenced a lot of people as MF Doom. Not just his people over in Europe, but even some underground people here in America also was influenced by his flow and just kind of the way he constructed songs, and even his production. For example, obviously we know about at some point that he drops another underground classic album that's held as one of the greatest hip hop albums of all time, and possibly the greatest underground album of all time. He did with Mad Lib, the Mad Villainy.
Mm-hmm. And the group as Mad Villainy, yeah.
Yeah, Mad Villainy, and that came out in 2004. And let me also preface that by saying that Food also came out in 2004. So MF Doom had two projects dropped in the same year, one in March and one in November. So he's talking about MM Food is a great album. You know what I'm saying?
It is.
That's his solo joint. You know what I'm saying? And then that's like his fourth album at that time. Like, he was pumping solo albums out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
and then,
he did a couple of things where
yeah,
he had a bunch of collaborations.
Oh yeah, a whole lot of that. But this is the same year when he worked with did the joint with Mad Lib that people still rave about. And actually, Pitchfork just did their top 100 albums of all time. I want to say the Mad Villain joint was like 9 or 10. And I'm just saying, but that's an example. If you go look at the professional ratings and stars and all the kind of like mics for other outlets, it got like a 4.5 and 5, like perfects all the way down. You know what I'm saying? So it's a monumental album in underground hip hop that stood the test of time with its cult following. And this is 2004. And again, he had Food album in 2004 as well. So he's blazing. He's basically the underground king in 2004. And a lot of people, his core fan base, they knew that. But a lot of hip hop heads and some casuals didn't know that about MF Doom. On the underground, he was revered. Like, there's video, if I can say real quick, babe, there's video you can go on YouTube and put in Most Def Talks MF Doom. He spit a whole song. You know what I'm saying? And then he broke down, talked about some of the lines that MF Doom was saying. You know what I mean? And also there's video, one of his last performances I see the video on when Tyler the Creator and Odd Future, them guys met MF Doom. Like, one dude, like, he's about to cry when he met him, bro. And Tyler the Creator was jumping up and down, so they showed up behind the stage. They were spitting every word that MF Doom was saying. And we know how big of a star Tyler the Creator turned out to be in hip hop. And one of his heroes was MF Doom. Same with Mad Lib is also talked about as one of the great producers in hip hop. Right. And he said he heard Operations Doomsday and was like, man, where you get those samples from? You know what I'm saying? And the way he was making his beats. He said he became a fan right then, and then Mad Villain began.
Yeah, I think, like, if people who don't know MF Doom and you start, like, I'm going to start with his first album, Operation Doomsday, right? It's probably the best introduction you can get to what he is and his rhyme style, because his production kind of matched his rhyme style, because he'll have like game show sounds coming in and Sade's playing, and then there's like boom bap drums, and it'll stop and have like some kind of 50s news telecast.
Yeah, it will.
Like,
then it has like some like Marvel type,
right.
Tones, the comic books. What I meant.
Yeah, like it. When you think about it, some people do this now. Like, when you see like cats post beats, but it's like a cartoon from the 80s or 70s or something like that. Like, that was his music. His music sound.
Doom was doing that over 25 years ago. I mean, Operation Doomsday came out in 1999, so he might have done it. He might have done it in 97, 98. You know what I'm saying?
He was already on it. Which kind of that's what made it interesting. real quick, like I had looked up, I was like, you know what? What the hell does MF mean? And when you Google it, Metal Face comes up, even Metal Fingers. I guess that was for his production. But on this project with MF Griff, which is another dope project, check it, that's another collaboration. He says mad flows.
Mad flows. He said that.
You know what I'm saying? And I was like, wow. And I know when it comes to Doom, all of that shit means it. But one other thing that I used to hear about him that was slowly making me a fan in the early 2000s was sometimes he would have shows and the nigga on stage wouldn't even be him. It'd just be a dark-skinned dude with a mask, and people wouldn't know whether Doom was performing or some duplicate he done paid or what. And I think, you know what, his career made me think about, and you know, we talk about that too, is what Ghostface wanted to do, MF Doom did. Like, remember Ghostface was like, I'm never going to show my face. I'm going to just have the mask and that's going to be it. MF Doom did that for real.
You really? Why? You know what? That's fun. He absolutely did. And once he became MF Doom, he never performed without that mask on. He didn't do interviews without the mask on. Nope. If you went to his, you know, his trailer or something, he got his mask on. You know what I'm saying? Right. Like, so you're right. He's literally like when they say those method actors when they stay in character all the time. Like he really stayed as he was MF Doom for real.
Yeah, he was.
And Ghostface couldn't do it.
Ghostface couldn't do it. Like he tried, but you know, I mean, it kind of worked out for Ghostface. You know, for
it did.
You know, but MF Doom kind of, like you said, he kind of stuck to that for time being. But he worked with, like Tone said, he worked with Madlib, he worked with MF Grimm, Danger Mouse. He had a whole other project that I thought I didn't hear before, so I asked the group chat, like, "Oh, send me that joint, the Victor Vaughn joint." Yeah. But then when I started playing, I was like, "Oh, I heard this back then." This dude had all these different monikers and mixtapes and albums. It's a lot of music, Tone.
And you know what? All his production, his beats, to your point a few minutes ago you made, they all work perfect with him. His production in terms of like, it sound like something that he would rap over. Right. You know what I'm saying? And he was making those beats. You know what I'm saying? And again, when I said something about Madlib a few minutes ago and Tyler, well, if some of you guys might not realize, Tyler the Creator is a producer also. So a lot of his dope songs that you love, he produced it. You know what I'm saying? So again, also influenced by Doom. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man. It's so so dope to think about it.
Yeah, when you think about old Odd Future, Wolf Gang, it sounds a lot like Doom. Like just
the influence, and then so many people obviously in you know, in the UK, but also, man, you know, having fans, you know, on the underground like De La Soul, where, you know, Grind Day come out in 2004. Again, MF Doom was on fire. You know what I'm saying? Because he's on joints with De La Soul at that point, but he also had the MM Food and the Mad Villain joint.
Was he on? He was on Rock Cocaine Flow, right?
Oh, Rock Cocaine Flow.
He was on there off the De La Soul Grande joint.
They performed live on like late night talk show. And Doom came out performed with Daylight.
Yeah, I remember that, and I remember he murdered that. And for me, in my mind, it kept saying, "Of course he did. That's Zev Love X." I thought he was nice back then.
Yeah,
but he was different. He was different now.
You know what's dope though? If I can say it real quick, is when they came out with KMD, that's kind of like that native tongue vibe, and I would have imagined all of them probably ran into each other several times in New York and hung out, because obviously KMD was kind of like the understudy of Third Base, because Zev Love X, aka MF Doom, he talked before in old videos that MC Search basically gave him a chance. You know what I'm saying? And put him on. You know what I'm saying? So that's MC Search again. Help put with Nas, with Lost Professor, and help with Zev Love with KMD. And he turns out to be MF Doom. If there's no KMD, you know, if MC Search doesn't help these guys back in the late 80s or what have you, early before 90, and they don't become KMD, then there might not ever been an MF Doom. So hip hop is different.
Yeah, and I just looked to confirm it was Rocco Kane Flow, because I remember I felt like that was a Doom style beat also, a beat that's going one tempo and then flows to a stutter almost.
Yeah.
And even though everybody
kicked it with it. I don't know who made that beat.
I think that's Dilla. I think Dilla might have made that joint.
He could make anything, so
right. I can't remember, so y'all leave it in the comments section.
Y'all fact check us and let us know who made the beat to that joint.
But yeah, one thing I was going to say about him, like there's a documentary or like footage. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know what it is. It's either footage or footage from a documentary or whatever, but of him and Madlib before Mad Villainy, kind of first of all digging for beats.
Yeah, and, I saw that
each other. You know what I'm talking about? And
yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
They talking about how they became cool and their different methods or whatever, and you could see it's kind of dope to see because, like you said earlier, Madlib is like, like I rock with this dude. Like I'm learning. You could tell he feels like he's learning something from meeting this dude.
Yeah, absolutely.
And what I like about MF Doom, especially sometimes in those interviews, he didn't have he was just him. Like he didn't have a big head about what he had to say or, whether even when he met Tyler and all of them, he was like, "What's up?"
Yeah.
It was regular. It was regular shit. Like
he came off authentic. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of people liked him.
Yeah. Now, obviously, there was at some point, even with Mad Villainy, like I think Mad Villainy introduced him to a broader audience, but I don't think it adored him to like you said, the hip hop heads who weren't on MF Doom like that. I still felt like there were people who still felt some kind of way about the music. I know me, I was a little bit slow with liking certain things versus not liking other things.
Yeah.
What do you feel about, or what do you feel it was about his style that it wasn't digestible to hip hop fans or let me just say hip hop heads who say they care about different flows and styles and being unique, not really looking at Doom right off the bat and his music and saying, "Yo, this is hip hop"?
I mean, there's a few things, man. One is he's not your traditional MC. So let's talk about East Coast, for example. He's not gonna have these bars that maybe people who like the way Jadakiss and them rap. He don't rap like them. You know what I'm saying? He don't put songs together like them. He is very unique in his flow. It's kind of hard to describe. It's very abstract with the way he rap. You know what I'm saying? And even his production is underground, but it's even different than what you would have heard on MF Doom album or project. Sound like an MF Doom album or project. You know what I'm saying? Right. Pharaoh and Talib and Mozart, all the albums was dope, but it was in the same vein of production, high tech and all of them. You know what I mean? So you knew what the 88 Keys, Q-Tip, whoever, you know how it was going to sound, which is a great thing. MF Doom's sound was so not like anything else, and then some people who, quote unquote, some of the cool so-called street dudes, they really don't want to, at the time, probably embrace somebody who got a mask on. You know what I'm saying? For some of those certain kind of cats, you can imagine them thinking this dude is corny, yo. You know what I'm saying? Like, but not knowing that he's a dope cat. You know what I'm saying? But you'll probably look at his experience, think it corny, hear his voice and flow, and be like, that ain't my style, because I'm used to things chopped up a little different the way I'm hearing rhymes for those kind of. So then you got the underground and kind of like eclectic kids just embraced him. Of course, they're going to embrace you back at home in London and all over, what I'm saying, Europe, they're going to embrace. But over here, a lot of the college kids, quirky kids, skateboarders, all kind of kids from different black and some black kids who were kind of like artsy or whatever, they became MF Doom loyalists. You know what I'm saying? And then the legend grew, and it grew every year. And he was one of those people like Tech Nine who, when he went somewhere, his fan base followed him. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And MF Doom had a real fan base before he passed away. And when he passed away, you know, they showed the love. They consistently show it all the time. And he got even larger after he died. But that's not a slight when they say somebody get more famous when they die or whatever. He did a lot of work while he was alive.
Right.
You know what I mean? Right. He had like 6 solo albums and then like 7 collaborative album projects with other people. You know what I'm saying? So he had like fit and not the other mixtape. He had a lot of work. And he produced almost all of his music. You know what I'm saying? Right. So he wrote it and produced almost all his music. So he had a legacy before he passed, but he got even more famous because a lot of people who would have overlooked him back then, like, you know what? I'm just searching for other hip hop stuff over the last decade or something like that. And then you be like, they keep talking about this MF Doom dude, man. I just couldn't. Let me play it again. Then you start going through some albums, and you be like, this dude really is dope. You know what I'm saying? So I want to give the listeners too like 4 or 5 of my favorite like Doom songs I wrote down too.
Okay. Well, one thing I'll say is like a couple of things like you mentioned with having projects. Ghostface has talked about him and Doom having a project.
He produced a few songs on one of Ghost's albums too.
He did. Yeah, he did. He
produced like 2 or 3 songs, and Ghost always. It was either Fish Girl. It might have been more Fish. I'm not sure right now, but Ghost said he had been trying to get with Doom. He finally got a chance to get a couple tracks out of him.
Yeah, like Ghost appeared on the Danger Mouse project with him, and you know, obviously they sound dope together.
Yeah. They respected each other.
Yeah, he said they have enough songs for an album, but he also and I can't remember if this dropped after he passed, like close to when he passed, or right before or whatever, or when we didn't know he passed, with Czarface meets Metalface, which was an album, you know, that came out, I believe that might have came out 2020 or something like that. But
he passed in 2020. Now we didn't find out.
It came out at the same time.
Yeah, because people didn't find out till December, but he had passed on Halloween.
Right, and a lot of people didn't believe it either because of those antics in the past of, you know, him playing tricks with people, being at shows, not being at shows, and stuff like that. But like to Tone's point, you know, Ghostface was saying, like, you know, it's not just the project with me. Like, yo, we got joints, and he got a bunch of joints, and he left a lot of music.
Yeah, he did.
I agree. I feel like because I was one of those people who really didn't necessarily get into it because I guess I didn't expect it, but it's weird because he was doing a lot of the same things that made some people not want to listen to Eminem, right? Like Doom would say some crazy shit like put noodles in your poodle, and you like noodles in your poodle. What the fuck?
He was just... Speaking of this, you know, it's funny because it's funny too. He said, I wrote this down right. He said, might snatch your life like a salt machine. So it's like he's saying salt like it kill, like, you know, I guess you think of salt bad for you. You know what I'm saying? Something I might snatch your life like a salt machine, like, yeah, something like that. And then he also said, my mind is heaven's gate, enter me. That's pretty dope, man. My mind is heaven's gates. Enter me. Yeah, Doom was wild, man.
Yeah, I think to your point, that's what it was, because I know that was the thing with the hip hop show. There were people who were clamoring for us to play hip hop. I mean, Mad Villain. Well, not Mad Villain. Well, I guess all of it, to be honest. But Doom in general. And I kind of feel like after a while, I guess for me it was different because, you know, it was Zev Love X, and I had more of an interest around that time. But after a while, I started to see why people really liked his music and what was really unique about him. And again, like we said, when you're talking about what hip hop is and all these damn rules and
You're right.
what people say the essence is. It can't just apply to an archetype that you like. Hip hop is a lot of different things. There's a lot of different flows, people from elsewhere. You know what I'm saying?
Lord
And
knows I just said that today on Twitter.
oh, word. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. We'll say I got a question at the at the end. I think you know. But yeah. Like people gotta understand, like what MF Doom did for the game is something that kind of unfortunately is more appreciated now than it was when he was running the streets alive, making albums and projects. I think he was building towards something, but again, this brother been in the game since the early 90s.
Yeah.
So that's a lot of music. That's a lot of politics with the industry and radio. And, you got Feed Your Family, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
But I think he probably would have been able to reap more of that today as things got, a little bit more opened up in, the minds of, especially the kids. They like MF Doom a lot.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Matter of fact, let me show you this real quick.
Yeah.
People, as you see, Food here.
Mm-hmm.
The record. Eugene up there making he up there making beats and stuff now. So he inspired by MF Doom also, and Knife and Pharrell and a few other guys, man. But Doom is one of his guys that he inspires him also. And again, we're talking about 12th grade in high school. So MF Doom has that kind of effect on a lot of young, new fans. You know what I'm saying? He's one of those people, man, who is really, gaining, and I think that was going to happen even if he was been alive, because that kind of uniqueness is eventually going to catch on to more and more people, especially as social media get bigger and bigger. He was gonna still do some of this, I believe. But to my point, a lot of young people really, really dig it. But I ain't mean to cut you off. You had a question you was gonna ask me.
No, you actually kind of said it. It was really more so about what is MF Doom's legacy in the game. And I think to your point, right? Like your son being like Exhibit A, there's a generation of kids who enjoy his music. And he's undoubtedly hip hop. You know what I'm saying? And
absolutely hip hop.
Like everything about him is hip hop. And
beats and rhymes. That's what he did, man.
Beats and rhymes.
Sample like crazy. Matter of fact, real quick too, he one of the few people, man, I've seen who sample Sade and Anita Baker. You know what I'm saying? He sampled
that first album though, Operation Doomsday, is such like it's almost like
dope album, man.
Yeah, it's like looking at someone who you didn't really appreciate what was happening because of everything else that was happening around the time that dropped. And Mad Villainy was more so like a refinement of what he does.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of that is just the production is just so fucking dope on Mad Villainy. Like,
yeah, but it is, man. But I'm gonna tell you, it's like we said earlier. The same year Food come out, and the production on that is nuts. And that's he dropped 2 bangers in the same year, man. That don't happen a whole lot.
No. Usually most MCs got one in them. Like I do this one time and that's that.
Gotta give people a few recommendations too.
Yeah, so go ahead, Tone. Tell the people, your favorite songs and albums.
I jotted a few of them down, man. But my favorite album actually is Operations Doomsday. You know what I'm saying? That's my favorite from him. I know that the Villain album is the most popular in the underground. I would say that my 3 favorite ones: Operation Doomsday, Mad Villain, and Food. I go back and forth between Food and Mad Villain, though, to be honest with you. But I really like all 3 of them a whole lot. The Danger Zone, is it? Name of the album? Yeah. The one he did with Danger Mouse, man, it's dope. You know what I'm saying? He got a lot of dope albums, though. You know what I'm saying? Like, he got a lot of dope albums, a lot of dope collabs. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, my songs, he got one called The MC, the MIC. That's called The Mic. It's actually called The Mic, and it's on Operation Doomsday, man. That's probably my favorite MF Doom song, man. So check out the mic, the MIC on Operation Doomsday. I got the actual Doomsday song because of the Sade sample. I love that one. Rap Snitches, you know what I'm saying? That joint crazy. Whole Cake is crazy. You know what I'm saying? Whole Cake is crazy. Yeah, man. Like those are the ones that come to mind, man. But he has a lot of joints.
Yeah, so this is what I was in and before I get my recommendation, but he did do 2 projects with with Czarface.
Yeah,
One
2,
was released before he passed. I was thinking that was just all one project in 2018. And then he had another album in 2021 after he passed called Super What, which was another collaboration with Czarface. But for me, I'm kind of similar. Operation Doomsday, I just like it because it's the raw, original, coming out party for MF Doom. The other one probably is Mad Villainy, just because it is almost as if he just jumped into another pocket on that one also because of the collaboration. And then probably the other one I'm not gonna lie, I probably listened to the most over time was Born Like This, because that track Gazillionaire Air,
I gotta go back and do the knowledge some more.
Yeah, listen to that joint. Just it's one of those things where we could say, oh yeah, you might hear this track and he's just randomly rapping and the beat is happening. But there are times like Rock Cocaine Flow and other songs where he just stepped back in pocket. Like, oh yeah, I think I rap.
He can do it. He can do it.
Right. When you hear Gazillionaire Air, it's like, oh, this dude is different. Like he can do whatever he wants.
He can really rap.
Right. He can do whatever he wants. But yeah, man, like again, like we said, MF Doom is a legend in hip hop for one of the biggest reasons why we care this much about hip hop and its originality. Like Tone said, there's nobody like him. There's nobody who had a career like his where it was promising in the beginning and tragedy strikes and your album gets shelved and all that. You disappear. You pop up at a time where it's shiny suit time, Jay-Z out bad, but and here you are just like, boom, here y'all go, mask. I'm not even going to tell you I'm Zev Love X. You really had to listen to those early records to hear him say stuff like "Rest in Peace, Subroc," and you're like, "Oh, Subroc."
Yeah, because you had to really be a fan to even pick up on in those kind of rhymes and stuff like that, man. But yeah, man, he was a true original. It's kind of like in hip hop history, originals are people like one of a kind, Biz Markie, Old Dirty Bastard, MF Doom. Some of those kind of people you can never, even your Tupacs and Big, people try to be like them, but they just couldn't be. Some people are just one of ones. They're so unique, man. You're only gonna see that one time. If anybody else tried to do what Doom did, people would clown them. They would make a marker out of them because you can't do what Doom did. You know what I'm saying? You just couldn't do it. He did it. He did it in 1999 and did it again and was still getting the same love up till he died.
Mm-hmm.
He was even more famous before he died than he was when he popped off with MF Doom. Even though he became an underground legend, his legend just kept growing. You know what I'm saying? So I think he leaves like I said, a mark with a lot of young, innovative, talented people. You know what I'm saying? And again, his name, when you hear it, you will see even some of the biggest people in hip hop. When they hear that name, they're like, "Oh yeah, respect." You know what I'm saying? Like, so a lot of other legends in hip hop looked at him as one of those unique one-of-ones, man, and he'll always be respected in hip hop community, man. For real.
No doubt. What do you think about MF Doom? Leave your comments in the comment section below. Were you right there where Operation Doomsday dropped and was like, I'm a fan, and you listen to everything that dropped? Because there's a lot of stuff, a lot of mixtapes, remixes, all kinds of stuff that dropped. Demos, everything different under different names. Victor Von Doom, you know what I'm saying? Like crazy. MF Doom. like
Yeah.
all kinds of joints, including his group collaborations, all of that good stuff. Uh, leave your comments in the comment section below. We're gonna do something that we kind of like to do at the end now, which is more so like a little soapbox rant kind of sound of thing, but just common, current conversations. Tone, let me ask you this. I already know the answer because I saw you comment about it, and I did also. Benny the Butcher decided, for those who don't know, that again, he wants to say that the hip hop game is messed up because nerds are running raps and is no longer run by the streets. Tone, I believe that Benny the Butcher is younger than you and me.
He
I
is.
don't remember at any point where the streets, and I don't even know what that means anymore, when the streets was running hip hop. What do you think about, and I'm going to kind of, I guess, splash my opinion in there a little bit, but what do you think about somebody who complains about specific fans that are also his fans? Nerds.
Uh, you know what? Sometimes, man, people lack awareness. You know what I'm saying? Right now, being lack awareness. You know what I'm saying? Also being extra sensitive about a couple of things. Because a lot of people, when they feelings hurt or they bothered by something and they got a certain persona, you know what I'm saying? They gotta have, like, they gotta try to play everybody else soft. Y'all little nerd, nerd niggas, that it kind of make you feel a little better because you actually something right now in the game got you feeling a certain way. Maybe you feel like you didn't get the love you thought you was gonna get when you were trying to go mainstream with your Def Jam joint. You know what I'm saying? Maybe you feel like, something ain't being reciprocated. You know what I'm saying? Things ain't happening. Maybe you thought certain tours and certain things was gonna pop off, and you realize that, you know what I'm saying, it's not where you wanted to be. Maybe you gotta grow some as an artist and keep expanding. Yeah, I know if he saw this or anybody that's got something to him, they always tag people all the time. He would say, I got this, I'm making paper. Okay, well, cool. Everything else should be everything. You know what I'm saying? So the nerds actually buy more records, attend more concerts, do more streaming for you. The nerds actually are the ones putting food on the table so you can go have all these other ventures and things of that nature. You know what I'm saying? Because the real street dudes, whatever that is, yeah, they're not. When they online, they right online trying to holler at chicks. You know what I'm saying? They ain't buying music. You know what I'm saying? They ain't buying music like that. How many so-called street dudes at your concerts, bro? Them nerds in the crowd, my dude. You know what I'm saying? Them ain't the hard street dudes you think. Them was nerds in there and certain college kids who got, you know what I'm saying, Tom Hilfiger and some Tim's on. You know what I'm saying? But they college kids. They not hood dudes. Even the ones that got dreads and braids and all that, they in college, bro. You know what I'm saying? So and yeah, I'm several years older than him because I had to look that up too. See how old he was. I knew I was older than him anyway, but I'm just saying, I'm looking at it like, bro, that was not one time in the history of this culture. Maybe before record deals with Sugar Hill Records and Rappers Delight and all that, maybe the streets was, was really small at the time right there, in the Bronx and stuff like that. So yeah, maybe some street people had something to do with it right there at that moment. Once record labels got into hip hop, radio stations, magazines, them ain't hood dudes, them ain't the streets. The streets never ran hip hop once hip hop became a business. So
yeah, you're right. It feels like,
tag him in this segment right here. Maybe you need to learn something.
yeah, because you know what? It's sort of like you say, it's the rejection, right? So I feel rejected. Let me turn on the camera. I didn't learn the first time when I was calling my fans nerds and all of that. Now here I go again. But let's rewind like 1 week ago where you were soliciting verses, saying that you get a free Benny verse, but you had to pay $100 even to be in the running. And we know, and he know like I know, you could put on all your jewelry. That means you ain't got no bread. You don't see certain artists doing that unless they need it. You know what I'm saying? They need it for something. I don't know what his Def Jam situation is. I know he came out before that album dropped, which I like the album. He said it was going to be like DMX in 98 again. I don't know if you was locked up or it was a blizzard in Buffalo at the time. But when DMX in 98 dropped, which we got an episode for, 2 albums, He was platinum quick in the same year. Easy. There wasn't anything like that on a Def Jam. It's again, Tone, it's like you said.
That was a tornado. DMX year of 1998 in hip hop was a tornado. It only happened a couple of times in hip hop history. So for one, you don't even want to put your name next to something like that, because that's probably one of the top 5 introductory solo years for an MC in rap history.
Right.
I mean, DMX, you gotta understand, both of those albums, they didn't sell like 1 million each. We're talking about they were both multi-platinum in the same year. I'm talking about like 3-4 million type records. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And so we talking about that level. So that would mean in today's streaming of albums, you know, Benny would have had to stream like Drake or K Dot.
It's not gonna happen. Also, let's just, because what's so weird about him making these types of videos without any real context, just say names if you mean something else. Don't generalize.
Yeah.
But this is the same dude who was kind of trying to like still like, hey Drake, how you doing? And Drake was like, yo, don't release that song we did, right? Because he talked about the song he did with Drake so much that when it finally came out, no one cared. But you were waiting on it. Like, he has to understand, if you're gonna call your fans nerds, and I'm one of his fans, we're also not stupid. Dog, we saw you solicited a verse saying it's free, but people gotta pay $100. So you're trying
I
to
didn't
take
see that, bro.
Oh yeah, it was straight up commercial. Like, yo, it's the butcher. You know, like, yo, you want to do a song? You want a verse or whatever? Give it. He said free verses, and then he kind of went on talking more, and he was like, you know, like pay $100. And I'm thinking like, everybody not getting it. Like 100 people, like, I think I got 100. You gonna give 100 different verses, or you gonna give everybody the same verse? What you doing, man? If you can't even edit that video to not say free at one point and then say $100, but then call dudes nerds. Now, let me just say this, because I kind of think I know what he's talking about, but they always kind of generalize. I think he's just talking about, and it could be because they're not talking about him and his music or Griselda in general, but he's talking about the Casanats and not directly, right? Like, who's running the game as far as having a voice in hip hop media, right? The other guy, you know, academics, right? A lot of them feel like these guys are popular and they talk about all these other records, but we got the dope stuff. You know, we can't get the Grammy because of the nerds and only nerds. Remember, this is also Tone. I don't know if you saw this, but this was at least one of those guys that was talking about the clips not being believable when they were like burning hot, like in July when their stuff was dropping. And it was like
ridiculous.
And I don't want to blame it on Buffalo because I'm from Brooklyn, New York, but I'm like, yo, this must be some 38 special step up. Somebody step up and show me something different. At least Conway's quiet. I'll say that much. He's just quiet. Yeah, he's doing his thing, but it just felt weird to see him do this again. Man,
some of these guys need to get back to understanding what mystique means. When we don't get too much, you know what I'm saying? You always come off better. You know, and I know everybody's not gonna be somebody like certain legends who don't do social media at all or only will update IG or something with a business venture or something like that. Some of them gonna do something like that. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Then you're gonna have certain people who do interact with people, you know what I'm saying, pretty often on social media. But you can't let them see you sweat, man. You know what I'm saying? Because I think that when you lose your mystique, some of your songs and music start sounding different to people's ears. You know what I'm saying? It's like, because they start having this vision of you acting a certain way, on social media and stuff like that. And it happened to Kanye and several other people. Like, certain people still rock with me, don't get me wrong, but it'll be certain people kind of like you start turning them off. You know what I'm saying? Because, hey, man, just make your music, man, do your thing.
Right. And look, I do get the frustration
Yeah,
as an
yeah.
artist because I'm a fan. So I've listened to
I am
every one
too.
he's
Yeah,
dropped, including, Summertime Butch 2. I like a lot. I played a lot during the
dude.
summer.
I just posted the joint Rick again on my page from the Town
Right.
Tape joint. I rock, I
Stabbing
rock
Shot
with him.
2 was crazy with him and 38 Special. But
But you know what?
you
Too
can't you
these
can't
guys.
force people,
Yeah, these guys. All MCs have to be able to. I know every day when most celebs in whatever field get on social media, somebody telling them how great they are and how amazing they are all day, every day. So some of the little hate here and there is never gonna overshadow the love. But some of
Right.
them only pay attention, only acknowledge somebody saying something that they didn't like. Even if it's just an honest
Right.
critique, you didn't like the honest critique, then you whine about something. Or even if it's hate, for every what I'm saying, sending somebody, hitting sin, hating on you, 1,000 other people just told you was amazing.
Right.
That's the end of these guys. You know what I'm saying? So nobody should be so upset all the time. You waste time making video, you can be in the studio, bro.
Yeah, some of it also like is just old school industry politics. It could be walls he's running into trying to get ahead, here and there, trying to get a spot here and there. And it could be actual industry nerds.
Or you doing your hip hop, or you doing your Jim Jones. The algorithm. If you go do that, you start trending a little bit. You know what I'm saying? So it's
That's
all
probably what's happening. That's
it's
probably what
all
he's doing.
marketing too.
Right. But Jim Jones he's never squashed his fans. He'll just
That's
say
true.
something out. He'll say something crazy like, I'm better than Big and blah, blah, blah. But he'll never be like, only nerds are listening. Nah,
Yeah, that's crazy.
right. Like, yo, stop talking about your fans, dog. Like, especially when those same nerds took a Hip Hop DX article that quoted him saying he was a nerd. It's like, well, I guess it takes one to know one, right? That's like some nerd shit. So, what?
That's right. Yeah, it
I
is,
don't know.
man. That's wild.
But MF Doom never did that. So again, y'all, show your appreciation for Doom. Talk about him in the comment section. Give us your top 3 favorite albums, quotes from some of his songs that was kind of crazy to you, even favorite songs. Leave that in the comment section below. Check out the homie Tony's podcast, Into the Dome podcast, right here on YouTube. Subscribe. Got a number of episodes. Also visit his website where he writes TonyTheDome.com. Not just hip hop articles, but articles about music because we're music fans. And you can follow him on Twitter where he be arguing with some of y'all. You know what I'm saying? Some of y'all be saying some crazy shit. But nevertheless, it's all for the love of hip hop. And that's
No
why we
doubt.
do these episodes. So go out and support real hip hop. Peace.
Peace.